Baba Shuaib, the correctional officer, born in Accra, Ghana, a Quranic researcher and a critical thinker based on religion, who does online lectures based on the guidance of the Quran on platforms such as Facebook, YouTube and TikTok since 2018. In Finland, and 13 years, QBE, in Classical Arabic and MSA in Quranic Arabic. The author of the Refer to the Quran, which helps every novice to understand the steps towards understanding the great Quran and the guidance of God in it.
Time to rise and meet the challenge. Baba Shuaib is calling you out. Meet Baba Shuaib, a correctional officer with a mission. Today he's throwing down the gauntlet to the mushriks, no more holding back. With his logo shirt and cap, Baba Shuaib sits tall and confident. He says, the time for action is now. It's time to rise, to push past limits, and to become the best versions of ourselves. Baba Shuaib believes in the power of determination and resilience. His challenge is simple. Stand up, face your fears, and conquer them. Every day is a new opportunity, he says. An opportunity to grow stronger, to be better, and to leave a mark on the world. So, are you ready to accept Baba Shuaib's challenge? Are you ready to rise above and beyond? Join Baba Shuaib and let's show the world what we're made of, because the only limit is the one you set for yourself.
Mash up the deen, mash up the deen. They might hijack the surahs and all that's between. Oh, no sense of sabah or the unseen, preferring hadith to embrace the obscene. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When the Holy Quran came into existence, the messenger was met with mass resistance. They couldn't believe his unrelenting persistence, a fully detailed book with overall consistency. This didn't stop them from transgression. Whenever the Quran would get some mention, when the time came for Quran court in session, the people were held to account and detention. Mention Allah in the book alone, a version. Mention hadith, scriptures, conversion. Prioritize man's indulgence, perversion. Base the deen on hadith, corruption. Today the Islamic ummah is polluted. The people of the book remain convoluted. The victimized women of Islam are muted. The Quran alone people are disputed. The true defenders of Islam are few and far to one fight. Sunan ibn Majah, hadith devotees follow Lucifer. Get prepared for the correctional officer. Mash up the deen, mash up the deen. Polluting the minds of the mu'mineen. Proclaiming no hope for the alamin. Perverting the sirat al-mustaqim. So much for the millet of Ibrahim. Amani.
يقول أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يركب حمارا. حمار اسمه عفير كما هو معلوم.
اسمه ايه؟
عفير.
عفير؟
عفير أو عفير. الحمار حدث النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن أبيه بدون ضرب اليد على الكتف. قال أن جدي ركب مع نوح في السفينة. فربت نوح على كتف الحمار وقال سيخرج من صلبك حمار يركبه خير البشر. تصور سند حمار عن حمار عن حمار.
God have mercy upon us.
يقول أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يركب حمارا حمار اسمه عفير كما هو معلوم.
اسمه ايه؟
عفير.
عفير؟
عفير أو عفير. الحمار حدث النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن أبيه بدون ضرب اليد على الكتف. قال أن جدي ركب مع نوح في السفينة فربت نوح على كتف الحمار وقال سيخرج من صلبك حمار يركبه خير البشر. تصور سند حمار عن حمار عن حمار.
God have mercy upon us.
Truth Unchained. I have a topic on that, right? Truth Unchained said, I'm quite sick of men going on about 4 wives. Can that be addressed to one day, please? I did. Please watch my topic on marriage, right? Watch my topic on marriage. I spoke about that. And I think this is one of the topics, many a times it comes across in my video. I've spoken about that, right? God in his infinite wisdom gave Adam 1 wife, right? In his infinite wisdom, he gave Adam 1 wife. He could have given Adam 10 wives, 20 wives or so. He gave him 1 wife because he wants him to live long. You can check on the records. Any man who has multiple wives never lives long. Right? It's on record. Any man who has multiple wives, he ends up dying leaving the wives. I'm not joking. I'm telling you the truth. Even according to the hadith you ask them that even the prophet didn't last long. If you think I'm lying, go and ask the hadith did the prophet last? They say he died at the age of 63. I'm not joking. I'm just telling you the honest truth, right? If you want to live long, just stick with 1 woman, because you can deal with the, sometimes the confusion of 1 woman is enough. But because God in his infinite wisdom knows this, he gave Adam 1 wife. I'm serious. Do you know what it takes to deal with a woman, multiple women who have complex thoughts at the same time? Do you know how men we have to struggle to answer the question of 1 woman? And imagine marrying 3 wives, and you just buy a car. So let's say you bought Lamborghini for just 1 wife, right? I swear to God, if you buy another Lamborghini for the other wife and the wheel looks a bit different from the other one, that day you are not going to sleep, because that will be a discussion for the day, for the night. The wife is going, somebody says echo sound. Where is the echo sound, please? Can you check from your side? That other wife is going to tell you, why did you let her wheels look more better than mine? That the wheels alone, she'll forget that you bought the Lamborghini. Pay attention, men, if you're listening. I'm serious about this. I'm not joking with you. There is a wisdom in which why God chose 1 wife for Adam. If you don't want that wisdom, you go and find your problem, marry multiple wives. That's up to you. If you are being beaten, I'm not there. I will not be a witness for you. So any man who wants to live long, please marry 1 wife. I'm not joking with you. I'm deadly serious about this. You want to live long, marry 1 wife. If you don't want to live long, just as God says, that is the more just. If you want to be just, then 1 wife. If you don't want to be just in your life and you have to keep up with lying every day, then you can go and marry multiple wives. That's up to you. And if you marry multiple wives, I'm telling you, for God's sake, you can buy Lamborghini and Lamborghini. Imagine Lamborghini. But just because the wheel, it looks slightly different. Let's say you bought the wheels. This one looks gold and this one looks silver in color. I swear to God, that day you are going to be fighting with the wives. One is going to ask you, why did you buy silver for this? Why did you buy gold wheel? She will forget that you bought the Lamborghini. So guys, I'm telling you, for God's sake, if you want to live long, marry one wife. I tell you, there's a reason why God gave Adam one wife. Because I swear to God, if God gave Adam 2 or 3 wives, Adam will end up blaming God. He will tell God, why? I wanted to live in peace. Why did you give me multiple? So God in his infinite wisdom gave Adam one, so that Adam will not have any objection against God. Think about this. A word for a wise is enough. Even the prophet had issues with multiple wives. Go and check Quran chapter 66. Read from verse 1 up to verse 4. You understand what I'm saying. Even the prophet Muhammad, he had problems with multiple wives. Yes. Because if you want drama, oh yeah, you have the money, right? Oh yeah, go. God says in Quran chapter 4 verse 129, he used the word never. You can never be able to act justly with women. It's impossible. This is what God says. I didn't say it. Write it down. Quran chapter 4 verse 129. You can never be able to act justly with women. You can't. And God didn't just say you cannot. He says you can never. Yes, that is the bitter truth. God has to tell you. But somebody will say then, why didn't God just say it is forbidden? Because God is talking to the wise people. He knows how a wise person can make a decision on that. So you want to be closer to God in just, because I swear to God, if you have multiple wives, you have to be a good liar. Not a lawyer, by the way. I mean liar. You have to be very good at telling lies. Yeah. If you want to know what I'm saying is true, go and find somebody who is married to multiple wives. I swear to God, sit him down and ask him. On a scale of 1 to 10, every day he has to lie about 7%, 7 out of 10. He has to lie. That you want to end up being like Muhammad Hijab, go ahead. So just marry one woman and be safe. Don't go and kill yourself earlier. Anyways, let's move on. It's like a huge headache. It's not like Raven. The idea is, it is not like it is a huge headache. Can you imagine you are just sleeping in peace, and then one of your wives will come and knock the door. Boom, boom, boom. I saw you in your dream. I saw you in my dream. If one woman does it, it's okay. But imagine you have 4 wives, and they all say, we saw you in your in the dream, and we think you have a hotel wife, side chick. That day you are not going to sleep in peace. I'm serious. So guys, if you want to live long, marry one wife. I'm not joking with you. I'm serious. Marry one wife. Okay, let's go. So when we talk about wasiya in the Quran, you see the word wasiya. It means legal will or testament, right? So legal will or testament, we call it a legal document declaring a person's wishes regarding the disposal of their property when they die. That is a legal will. We can say testament or legal will, right? So it is a legal document declaring a person's wishes regarding the disposal of their property when they die. Legal will, and this is mandatory over every believer. It is compulsory for you, right? So sometimes people don't know about this and they don't take this thing serious. And that is why when people die, you see their families fighting, because a lot of people who die don't get the chance to make this will. So it is beneficial It is actually important. At the moment you start piling up properties, it is very, very important to have this. The moment you have made your mind up to start acquiring properties, that it is the right time to start making a legal will. That is, if you don't want any quarrel after you when you die, that is the best time, right? So when we say legal will, wasiya in Quran, we say al-wasiya, we are talking about the testament or the legal will, which means a legal document declaring a person's wishes regarding the disposal of their property when they die. So now let's start with Quran chapter 5 verse 106. I put it on the screen. Let's check this verse. Quran chapter 5 verse 106. Yeah, let me put it on the screen here. Now, this verse, for those on TikTok, you cannot see the verse I'm putting on the screen. However, if you rewatch this program, you are going to see it clearly, right? So, Quran chapter 5, verse 106, Surah Al-Ma'idah. So, God is saying in that verse concerning the legal will, He says, "O you who believe, there should be a testimony among you when death appears to one of you at the time of legal will. Two of those of justice among you, or two others from other than you, in case you are traveling through the land, and the misfortune of death strikes you. You shall obstruct them both after the salat, and let them both swear by God if you doubt." So this oath they are going to take is to actually make a pledge. Then they will say, "We will not exchange it for a price, even if one should be a relative. Nor will we conceal the testimony of God. Indeed, we in that case will be of the sinners." So now God is talking to the believers. If you are a believer, this verse goes to you, right? It's an instruction and a command towards believers, right? So listen carefully. God says, "Oh, you who believe, there should be a testimony," meaning a bearing of witness, "among you when death appears to one of you," right? So many a times, and God is talking to believers, and this is why sometimes you see when a person is about to die, usually, if a good person is about to die, you see people surrounding his bed or family members gathered around this kind of person, and he gets to say the things he wants. He gets to give the advices he wants. But doing it beforehand is always better because you don't know what might happen. So imagine at the time of the believers, the prophet, when they have to go for war to fight, some of the believers died. So in that case, if they have a property, it's better for them to write down the legal will before going to the war front. So God says, "Oh, you who believe, there should be a testimony," in terms of bearing witness, "among you when death appears to one of you at the time of legal will," that is wasiyah. Then God says, "Two of those of justice among you, or two others." So meaning among you, the believers, there should be two people who are going to bear witness. Or when you are traveling, let's say you are traveling in another country, you are somewhere, you will need two witnesses from that place, right? So they say, "Among you or two others from other than you, in case you are traveling through the land." Then God says, "And then whilst you're traveling and the misfortune of death strikes you," right? So it continues. Then it says, "You shall obstruct them both after the salat." So after performing the salat, and then let them both swear by God. If you doubt, you should let them swear. If they are believers and you trust them, there's no need for them to swear, right? But if you doubt these people's loyalty, then you have to let them swear by God. Then by swearing this oath, they have to utter this statement: "We will not exchange it for a price, even if one should be a relative. Nor will we conceal the testimony of God," because they bear witness by swearing by God's name, right? So since they swear by God, that's a testimony of God. right? Indeed, we in that case will be of the sinners. So this is, here we are, God is telling the believers that whenever you are about to die, you have to write down a legal will, and you should have 2 witnesses, right? A lot of people have done it through the Western world routine, meaning they have a lawyer and it's written down, but still, even if you have a lawyer and it has to be written down, try to find believers, 2 believers in terms of your faith, believers who actually bear witness to that legal will. Because even a lawyer can be corrupt. I'm not saying all lawyers are corrupt, but even a lawyer can be corrupt, right? So it is beneficial to find believers apart from the lawyer who will bear witness and witness the testament or the legal will. You understand? To make an assurance. Somebody's asking which salat is that. After the salat, it's a definite article meaning the salat, meaning any of the 3 salat God has given at the time you are with these other believers. So after the salat, it can be done. God didn't say salat al-fajr or salat al-wusta or salat al-isha. It can be any salat, right? So after the salat, that can be done. So it depends on us to choose which salat pertaining to the time frame we are together, right? Then that could be done, right? So that is the first step. Salam Baba Sayyiduna. That is the first step, and this goes to the believers. So you have to understand. So let's continue the context, right? So the context continues. Oh, sorry, just a second. It continues to 107. Chapter 5, verse 106, we go to 107. Then it says, but if both of them are found to deserve sin, then 2 others shall stand in their place. So meaning, if you take 2 witnesses and you feel like these 2 witnesses, one, you doubt them even though they swore by God that with their testimony, and you still think they deserve to, they are more likely to be sinful or to sin deliberately concerning the legal will. What you need to do is, then 2 others shall stand in their place, meaning other 2 people will replace them, right? As the foremost of those who deserve over them, right? And let them both swear by God that our testimony is worthier than the first 2 groups, right? Than their testimony. Then he says, and we will not trespass. Indeed, we in that case will be of the what? Transgressors. Then it continues to 108. That is the least that they will produce a testimony for its countenance. Right? My live stream didn't give notification. That is strange. Okay. That is strange. So guys, kindly reshare on TikTok so other people can join, right? I'm just getting a feedback like my live stream didn't give a notification. But I think it depends on some people. If you don't update your TikTok or something, sometimes it does that. Yeah, so chapter 5, verse 108, that is the least that they will produce a testimony for its countenance, or they will fear that the oaths will be reverted after their oaths. And beware of God and listen, for God does not guide the immoral people or people who are immoral, right? So pay close attention. The verses I just quoted is Quran chapter 5, verse 106 up to 108. It is very, very important. Pay close attention going forward, right? So Abu Suleiman says, I want to see inside the head of a Sunni who thinks men can abrogate God's rule in the Quran. I want to know what is happening inside the brain if his wires are connected correctly or not. No, their brains are kaput. I've been telling you, Abu Suleiman, I told you several times that the head of a Sunni or a sectarian, their brains are kaput, right? A factory reset cannot even work. Guys, if you want to understand that a factory reset cannot work for a sectarian, a Sunni or a sectarian, go and watch my discussion with this guy, Dawa Quest, the guy called Dawa Quest. Dawa Quest, guys, you remember Dawa Quest? Go and check my YouTube videos. Dawa Quest with a guy I was seriously trying to convince about the Quran, and he's telling me if I go to poop, how do I wipe my oh my God. And that guy is literally somebody's husband. I'm surprised. I'm serious. His wife will definitely be tired of him. I'm not joking with you. She will be tired of him. Seriously. Anyways, let's continue. Yeah, salam, Dawan Sharif, you're welcome. So now, these verses I just read, that is Quran chapter 5, verse 106 up to 108. I'm going to go to the next verse, which is in Quran chapter what? Chapter 2, verse 240, right? I'm connecting the dots for you to understand what is being spoken about in the Quran. Chapter 2, verse 240. Now, in this verse, what you need to understand is, this verse I'm just quoting now, what you need to understand is, God is talking about men who are married leaving their wives, because the first thing that comes to mind, a man can die without having a wife or parents, meaning his parents are dead or his wife is dead. So he's single. In the Quran, we call this such a person kalala. This kalala is somebody who doesn't have parents and he doesn't have a wife, right? So now, or even sometimes children. But here it's talking about those who die leaving wives. And this verses has to do with the believers, right? Now, in chapter 2, verse 240, it says, and those who are caused to die among you, the believers, while leaving wives. For their wives is a legal will. You have to leave a legal will for your wife. We call it wasiya, inheritance for your wife, right? You died leaving your wife. So there has to be a legal will, taking care of the wife, to provide for a year without eviction. So this wife will be given from the legal will for 1 year without eviction. She shouldn't be evicted, even she is living in that property. She should not be driven out of the house. No. But you see, a lot of sectarians go against this command. Do you get the point? A lot of sectarians go against this command. So she shouldn't be evicted. She has to be in that property and for a year being provided for from the legal will, right? Then God says, but if they, the wives themselves, the wife or the wives, should exit, meaning voluntarily, by the wife choosing to exit from that property, then there is no blame on you, the believers, right? Concerning what they do, what the wives will do for themselves of kindness. And God is almighty and wise. So here again, God is talking to the believers by telling the believers what needs to be done concerning the legal will. So if you are a believer leaving a wife behind, yes, you have to write a legal will for the wife. But in the first year, 1 year, she will be provided for from the legal will, right? And those who are caused to die among you while leaving wives, for their wives is a legal will, to provide for a year without eviction. So meaning a believer has to have a legal will for the wife. This is a special one. This has nothing to do with the kids. A special legal will which the wife will be benefiting from for 1 year. But according to God, if this wife decides to leave, to exit from that, and she is not maybe interested in that, there's no blame. But it's binding on the believer to leave this legal will for the wife for a year. That is somebody who is self-sufficient. I'm not talking about a broke person. Because if the person is broke, I don't know which will is going to live for anybody. So we're talking about a believer who has the capacity. So, and those who are caused to die among you while leaving wives, for their wives is a legal will to provide, right? So it has to be a man who is a provider, not a man who is, empty. Because if the bank account is zero, what do you expect? Unless the bank should send you the charges. So that's a problem. So we are talking about a man who has the capacity to provide for his wife, right? For a year without eviction. But according to God, but if the wife should exit, then there is no blame on you. So if the wife feel like, oh, I don't need this, I don't need this. I'm okay. Fine. There's no blame on you, the believer. So guys, you need to understand this, that the reason why I'm quoting the verses in such a manner, a lot of people who claim to be Quran alone followers, they don't understand how the Quran needs to be utilized. They think when God is talking about something, God always has to mention everything in just one chapter and one verse, just like this. A lot of those who claim to be Quran alone followers, especially when Baba Shuaib is talking about Salat, and for instance, I connect the dots from verses to give you the clear picture. You will find some Quran alone followers saying that, oh, look, he's cherry picking the verses. Why don't you just bring one verse which shows prayer from beginning? Are you a fool? You think God is talking to fools? No, God is talking to intelligent people. This thing I'm doing right now concerning the legal will, God didn't just talk about legal will in just one verse or one chapter. You have to go and connect the dots. That's why God is talking to intelligent people. Don't be a fool. Don't let people fool you out there and keep saying, oh, Baba Shuaib just connected verses to get. Yes, if you are a fool, stay being a fool. But we, the intelligent ones, we know how God is speaking from the Quran. So we can deal and connect the verses and get a clear picture. Yes. And I keep daring you, always come out for a dialogue face to face. Then I can set you up as scapegoats. You will not come. You will just be at the comment section shouting, keep on doing that. But I dare you, or when I open the phone lines, you come out of your foolishness and come and question me. Why didn't just God put everything in one verse? You think God is talking to daycare nursery kids? It is when you are talking to kids, you need to put everything in line so a kid will see it. If you are talking to an intelligent person, it's like a puzzle. If you like, put it anywhere. An intelligent person knows how to bring the puzzle together. So when God is speaking to intelligent people, allow intelligent people to take the resources God has given in the Quran. We like it like that, and we will benefit like that. If you are a fool, stick to being a fool, because God does not need fools anyway, right? So when God is speaking in the Quran, you need to go and connect dots, just as I'm doing concerning the legal will. It is not for you to say, oh, why didn't God give the salat from beginning to end in one verse, in one chapter? God does not need to do according to your desires. That's how it works. If you don't have knowledge, seek knowledge. Simple. And if you say Baba Shuaib is cherry picking, come, let me school you. Come, I will have you live. This is why none of you that following closely or no ritual group can stand me one-on-one. I will embarrass you. I'm serious. Right? You can be keyboard warriors. That's up to you. Keyboard warriors, that I can tolerate. Just speak your nonsense everywhere. I don't care. But please, if you say Baba Shuaib is cherry picking, come. I will sit you down and school you. Because it means knowledge has grades. Because maybe you are at the elementary school, you are now trying to go to the secondary level. So come, Baba Shuaib will help you to understand that. If you don't want to pray to God, don't pray. If you don't want to do ritual prayer, don't do. Nobody is forcing you. If Baba Shuaib can see the answers in the Quran and put it down for people who have intelligence to follow, allow the people to follow what they want to follow. If you want to go to hell for free, that's up to you. So don't come under my comment section when I'm calling you for dialogues and debate. You guys will be running every day of your lives. Then you come and comment, Baba Shuaib, he is cherry picking verses. Hey. Okay, allow us to cherry pick. Because the last time I checked, the ingredients God created, the onions, the tomatoes and everything, it takes intelligent people to join it together to cook good food. A fool cannot cook good food, even if you give him the best ingredients at hand. So when we say Quran, God is speaking to intelligent people. Allow intelligent people to gather the verses of God and get something out of it. Peace. Anyways, so Quran, I just took you to Quran chapter 5, verse 106 up to 108. God is talking about legal will. I brought you to Quran chapter 2, verse 240. God is still talking about legal will. Now we are going to another verse, which is Quran chapter 2, verse 180. And I'm going to read up to 182 concerning legal will. Pay attention. Quran chapter 2, verse 180. And I'm going to read up to 182. And let the intelligent people bear witness to how God is clarifying his own verses to us, right? It will take only intelligent people to understand what God is doing. The infinite wisdom God has, it's not befitting for God to just put everything in just one verse or one chapter and give you all the answers. No, it's not befitting for God to do that. Because God wants you to study his book, he has to give you a little here, take you to another chapter, give you a little there, take you to another verse, give you a little there, so that you will study the whole book. If he put all the important things in one side, I swear to God, we are not going to waste our time going to the other side. This is how the human psychology works. So Quran is not just like a mere book, that a man-made book, somebody will just write the way he wants. This is a scripture from God telling you how you need to study. Yes. So you don't just say, why didn't God just show us prayer in just one chapter or one? No, God doesn't work according to your opinion or your whims and desires. Here, in Quran chapter 2, verse 180, God says, prescribe to you when death appears to one of you is to bequeath. When we say bequeath, to leave something behind, to bequeath a good legal will, right? For the parents, number one, and the relatives, number two, in kindness, as a duty upon the pious. So this is an obligation upon the pious. It's a duty that is rest upon the believers to make a legal will. Prescribe to you, I repeat, just as siyam, fasting, abstinence is prescribed to the believers, God again is prescribing what? Legal will. Prescribe to you when death appears to one of you is to bequeath a good legal will for the parents, number one, and the relatives, number two, in kindness, as a duty upon the pious. Then it continues, 181. Then it says, and whoever alters it after that which he has heard, then its sin will only be upon those who have altered it. Indeed, God is hearing and omniscient. So now you can see how God is talking to us clearly from his verses concerning legal will, how important it is. When you go to 182, then it says, and whoever fears bias or sin from the testator, meaning the ones who came to bear witness, the testator, and the testator, the one who is leaving the legal will. If you fear he is being biased, because sometimes, let me tell you what, sometimes a father is going to die. Sometimes he doesn't like the other son. Maybe he has two sons, but sometimes the father doesn't like the other son. He only likes the first son and he doesn't like the second son. Sometimes he likes the second son and he doesn't like the first son. Fathers do that. Parents do that. It happens everywhere, right? So because of the issues this father has with these children, so sometimes he doesn't want to put the right apportionment to this son because already he doesn't like him. So he would rather take the big portion and give it to this son. So you, the one bearing witness, you seeing that the testator himself is being biased. This is what God is saying. Pay attention. Then God says, and whoever fears bias or sin from the testator, the one leaving the legal will, and then intercedes between them. He intercedes between the testator and his family members. Then there is no sin upon him. So you, the ones bearing witness to what the testator has done, and you see that this is bias, and this is not the right way, you can fix it. You can intercede. God gives you that permission. Are you getting the point? So then there is no sin upon him. Indeed, God is forgiving and merciful. So you're the ones bearing witness to what the testator has done, and you can see the bias. You can see that he is committing a sin because what he is doing is not right. Because you are going to die and leave them. What is your issue with your son just because you don't like your son? It is your right to live. It's a duty God has ordained on you to live for the family. So regardless of if you don't like your son, just give him the apportionment. It is his rightful due that he has to get. It doesn't go with your feelings. It is about the truth, the haqq, That's why God says, give the parents, the relatives, their due. It's a duty. You need to give. It's not about feeling. You know, sometimes we with our parents and our mothers, our fathers and our mothers, what happens is sometimes it gets to a point you don't actually like your father or you don't like your mother. Sometimes. I'm just saying, we have all been through this. And it gets to a point you feel like your child doesn't like you anymore because you didn't do something in their favor, or you didn't do something they want you to do for them, or you stop them from doing something which might cause them harm, but they thought you don't just like them, right? So in this notion, let's say at that time you are not talking to your son or you're not talking to your daughter, and you guys are at odds with each other. And then one happens to die, or let's say the parent happens to die. In that situation, so let's say at that time when the parents have issues or has a beef with their children, do you know when it comes to legal will, sometimes the parents act biased, try to change some of the will and put one in favor of the good kid, the kid who is very good, thinking that, oh, if I do this, it might help. No, you are dying. You are going to leave them. So why do that? Give the person what they deserve, according to God, right? So you, the witnesses, who can see that the testator is being biased, you can fix it. According to God, he says you can fix it. You can intercede between them. There is no sin upon that, right? So let's continue. So this is Quran chapter 2, verse 180, 281, 282. And pay attention. I started from chapter 5, verse 106, and I read up to 108. Then I took you back to chapter 2, even though chapter 5 comes before chapter 2. So then I took you to chapter 2, started from chapter 2, verse 240. Right? Then I went to chapter 2, verse 180. You see how I'm going with the verses? Right? 240, I brought it before 180 because I'm putting it in the order that will make sense to you, the listener and the viewer. Are you getting the point? Because God didn't only speak about the legal will in one chapter. He spoke about it in other chapters. So you need to connect the dots to make sense out of it. This is how the Quran works. Now, let's go to the apportionment. Before we go to the apportionment itself of the legal will, we go to Quran chapter 4, verse 7 to verse 8. I'm putting it on the screen. Chapter 4, verse 7 to verse 8. So I put it on the screen. Let's see what it says. So this is what God says. God says, for men is a share of what the parents and the relatives bequeath. Right? For men is a share of what the parents and the relatives bequeath. And for women is a share of what the parents and the relatives bequeath, from what is less thereof or more, an obligational share. An obligational share. Then it continues to verse 8. Then it says, and when the relatives, the orphans, the poor people attend or should attend the apportionment, then bestow them thereof and speak to them speech of kindness. So it tells you the apportionment can even be extended. It can go to the relative, apart from the relatives, it can go to the orphans and it can go to the poor people. It is not to be shared up among the family saying that these are the rich people only, so let's give it to the rich people in the family. No. So even if you have the family, and among the family there is the orphans, there is the poor people, they attend to, far as they are there, apportionment, they have to be given their share. It is not like a legal will where you say we are only going to give to the successful people in the family. No. It extends to the relatives, family members whom God has mentioned that they are going to get their share. You have to give them their due share, right? So that is Quran chapter 4, verse 7 to verse 8. Now we are going to go down into the apportionment itself. But before we go into that, there is something I want you to see, right? I want to do something here. I'll read the verses. Then after that, I'll give you a breakdown. So let me get this thing ready here. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this method to teach people how, whenever you have confusion about something, how you can come to a conclusion and the answers in this modern day and age easily. Anyways, let me read the verses. Now I'm taking you to Quran chapter 4, verse 176. Chapter 4, verse 176. This verse. The reason why I'm starting with this verse first, I read chapter 4, verse 7 to verse 8. I could have just jumped and started with chapter 4, verse 11 to 12 to 13. But now I'm rather bringing you to the last verse in chapter 4. This is the last verse. Chapter 4, verse 176. I'm going to talk about the kalala. The al-kalala. This kalala is somebody who doesn't have parents or children. So now let's start with the verse to understand why I started with this verse. You are going to see why I chose this verse to bring the clarity. So this verse says, they seek your legal opinion. Say, God opines you regarding one with no parents or children. That is a single person who doesn't have parents and who doesn't have children. Then God says, if a man perishes, meaning he dies, having no child, but has a sister, then for her is half, meaning half of the property he has. So if he has a property and you equate it to 100%, you have to divide it into half. If you are going to convert it to money and then pay her half of the money. So if, let's say, the person died leaving a car, only a car, or let's say a phone. The person who doesn't have parents and he doesn't have children, he died leaving only a phone. This phone, the sister is going to get half, but half doesn't mean break the phone into two. I know, even though Quran is not talking to fools, I know some fools who do. I was reading an article where a couple, a man was told to share his property into half and give it to his ex-wife. I swear to God, I read the article. I don't know anybody. If anybody has seen that article, also please support me in this. He divided his couch, divided his bicycle. He divided, like he actually broke them into two. He chainsawed it. This article was just recent. Was it last month also? Anybody who has seen this, please, can you affirm this in the comment section? I saw this article. This man, the court ordered an injunction that he has to split his properties with the wife. I swear to God, the couch, the TV, he took a chainsaw and he chainsawed it. Let me see if I can find that. Yes, I found the article. Guys, I found it. Let me share the screen. Let me share the screen. I found it. And it happened in Germany. I'm serious. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. This article, I'm sharing on my screen, right? A German man known as Der Juli literally cut his belongings in half to fulfill a divorce court order for an equal division of property. He posted a video of the act on YouTube showcasing the split of items like chairs, beds, phones, laptops, and even a teddy bear, and then listed the halves for sale on eBay. This followed a court order, typical in Germany, where assets acquired during the marriage are split equally upon divorce. So please, God is talking to wise people in the Quran. When God says, when you are during the apportionment, give somebody half, it doesn't mean if you have a car, go and cut the car. It doesn't mean go and split the car into two. Then you give the back side to your wife or your family, and the front side. Whose family member is this guy? This guy hates his wife big time. I'm serious. He hates. But why? What? See, guys, this is why Quran says he's talking to intelligent people. I'm not joking with you. This is the reason why God keep placing emphasis by saying Quran speaks to intelligent people. Yes. You see, if you are told somebody in his hey, why? Laptop, you also split it into two. Ladies and laptop. Laptop. Guys, laptop. He split it into two. And he gave the wife, I don't know if he gave her the keyboard side. Why? That guy needs to be sued. I'm serious. Seriously. Hey. When I first saw the article, I read the article and I was trying to confirm the sources to make sure it's authentic. And when I saw it was authentic, I was trying to confirm, just like Hadith. I was trying to know if the story was Sahih. And I checked it, and I'm like, first of all, I was in shock. I was in denial. I was like, no, this is a joke. So I checked the calendar. It was not April Fool. And I was like, no. How is this possible? And I confirmed it, and it's genuine. It's real. Why? So when God is speaking about giving half, the reason why I went to that issue to give you an example, because God is speaking to intelligent people, not fools. Please understand this. The reason why I went there is to show you something, that we have people who can take it literally. So just because God says half, a person who has low IQ will now go and take his phone thinking that God says the sister should take half of his and split it into two. No, please. So Quran chapter 4 verse 176, the reason why I'm starting with that verse was to tackle that issue first. They seek your legal opinion. Say God opines you regarding one with no parents or children. If a man perishes having no child but has a sister, then for her is half. Right? Half. Yeah, Michael, I'll be answering your question when you get to watch this lecture later. I've saved all the questions being asked in the beginning. So when I'm done with the lecture, then I'll go to answer all the questions, right? So you might get the answer later when you rewatch the program. Thank you for your presence. I appreciate you, right? Salam Isa Shamo, you're welcome. Salam to everybody. Marshall Degree, all of you coming. Thank you. Kid Costume, everybody. So then God says, if a man perishes having no child, but has a sister, then for her is half. So meaning the property he leaves behind, even though she's going to get half, it doesn't mean literally cut it into half. Meaning you have to convert it into money or into something. When you convert the rate at that time, let me give you guys an example. Like I had a car crash last year, December, a car crash, right? So insurance decided to give me half of the money for the car. It was a new car I bought and I got a car accident. So insurance decided to give me half of the money because I've used the car for like 3 years. So half of the money, right? Now what they did is they checked the equivalent usage of the car and they checked the value on the market. And then they make the deduction and then gave me half of the money. So when God is saying the sister in this verse, the sister should get half of the property, it doesn't necessitate just because it says half and it's just one phone. So that means the phone needs to be splitted into two. No, you go to check the value of the phone on the market. When you check the value of the phone, if the sister happens to need money, right? You check the value of the phone, then you split the value into two. That is in half. Then you give the sister half of the money for the value of the phone. Half of the money. Then the rest of the half is going to be used for the other relatives, other siblings. This is how it works. Remember, God is talking to intelligent people, not fools. Please pay attention. Yes, Oshere, I see you, my brother. Salam. So God says, then for her is half of what he bequeathed, and he will inherit her if she happens to have no father or children also, and she dies. God says, and she does not have a child, right? Then he says, but if there are two females, right? First of all, the man will inherit her if she did not have a child. That is, her brother will inherit her like that. But then he says, but if there are two females, then for them both are 2/3 of what he, the man, bequeathed. If there are two sisters, they are going to get 2/3, right? Meaning a third split into 3, and they are going to get 2/3 of what he bequeathed. And if the siblings are men and women, then for the male is like the share of 2 females. So since 2 females are going to get 2/3 each, one male is going to get their share, right? Then it says, God clarifies to you lest you go astray, for God is aware of all things. I'll be giving you a breakdown of what these 2/3 and 3/3 and so on mentions, how you can do the breakdown. I'll give you the clarity to that. But let's go. I'm just reading the verses first, then we see what God says. Then we come back to do the breakdown. Now, this is Quran chapter 4, verse 176. But now, let me take you back to Quran chapter 4, verse 11 to verse 12, so that we get a better understanding of what God is saying. Then we come back to do the fraction and see how it works, right? Anyways, so now, Quran chapter 4, verse 11, and I'm going to read up to verse 13, and we are going to see what God says concerning the wasiyah, the legal will. So Quran chapter 4, verse 11, this is what it says. It says, God advises you regarding your children. Then it says, for the male is like the share of 2 females. But if there are women beyond, you see here, it's repeated, for the male is like the share of 2 females, just as we saw in Quran chapter 4, verse 176. Remember that? When it says the male will get the share of 2 females. God repeated a same statement again in chapter 4, verse 11. That's why I started from beneath, just to show you something. Now, coming back here, when we went to 176, it talks about not having children, right? A man who doesn't have parents or children. But now we are coming to a verse where it talks about a man going to leave behind kids. He has children. So how the apportionment is going to work. But you can see the male is still going to have the share like the females. If females are having 2, he's going to have both. So now, God advises you regarding your children, for the male is like the share of 2 females. But if there are women, right, beyond the 2 females, then for them is 1/3 of what is bequeathed. Then he says, and if there is 1 female, then for her is half. For one's 2 parents, to each one of them is 1/6 of what is bequeathed. I'll give you a breakdown to all this, right? If he has a child, but if he does not have a child and his 2 parents inherit him. Now you see here, the man who is dying doesn't have child, but he has parents. But when I read chapter 4, verse 176, we saw a man who doesn't have parents and he doesn't have children. So his sister or his brother will inherit him. Unlike this verse, in this verse, you can see he has 2 parents, but he doesn't have children. But if he does not have a child and his 2 parents inherit him, then 1/3 for his mother. But if he has brothers, then 1/6 for his mother. Because in some families, a man might not have many brothers. He might have only 1 brother. In some families, a man might have a wife and he doesn't have children, but he has brothers and he has parents. So this is how the apportionment is done based on the context. You find many a time some people don't understand this context. Then they will do all the apportionment over 100. Then they will say it doesn't tally. There's a contradiction. That's not how it works. You don't go to every family and get everything intact. You will not find, you go to certain families, you see only women available, only girls, and there are no boys. You go to some family, you see only boys, and there are no females there. They are not sisters, right? So the apportionment is done according to the criteria of people found in that particular family. So I will give you the breakdown so that you understand better. Then God says, but if he has brothers, then 1/6 for his mother. After a legal will has been prescribed or debt, these 2 things are very important. When somebody dies leaving a legal will, the will is prescribed. After that, you deal with debt. You make sure the person's debt has been cleared before you start dispersing these properties. You can't leave the debt hanging and then you start sharing properties. No. After the legal will the person leaves behind, you assess it and deal with the debt first before you start sharing the property. Then God says, your parents and your children, between the parents and your children, you do not know which of them is nearest to you in benefit, because you are going to die. You made an obligation leaving behind, right? An obligation from God that God has asked you to do, a legal will, leaving it behind. So you do not know which of them is closer to you in benefit, because you are going to die. So the apportionment you are going to leave behind is the benefit they are going to get from you when you die. So then God says, indeed, God is omniscient and wise. Verse 12, and for you is half of what your spouses bequeath. For you is what the spouses bequeath. Then he says, if they had no children. So if they have no children, but if they have a child. So here he's talking to the men concerning the women, what the women also leave behind, right? So some people think that when you are married to a man, you don't need to leave any property or the man cannot inherit you. Some people think like that. No. According to the Quran, a man can also inherit a woman. Because many a times you hear people saying that when a woman is married, every property she has belongs to her. What? They say when a woman is married in Islam, that this is the sectarian version of Islam, not the Quranic version. They will say every property she has belongs to her, excluding the husband. What kind of nonsense is that? Who stipulated that? According to God, when the wife even dies, leaving the husband and the child, she has a property. The property has to be shared to the husband and the kids also. So it's not like, oh, the woman has money and the money belongs to only her. No. But however, if the man is rich, he is the caretaker of the family. So he has to take care of the family. The wife's, everything the wife has to be a backup, just in case the man needs financial support. Then the wife is there to help. But it doesn't necessitate to say, oh, the wife only has the money to keep for herself. No. Then why is it that when she dies, God is saying that she has to leave a will also for the husband and the children to take care of her? That would be a contradiction if you say the woman's property only belongs to her. So God says, and for you is half of what your spouses bequeath. If they had no children, right? So if your wife dies and she doesn't have any children, you don't have any children with her, you are going to get half of her property. Because at the end of the day, if you are the provider of the family, maybe you are richer than your wife. It is out of you, maybe your wife became successful or got money. I'm not saying all the case, all the time, right? Yeah, no problem, Richard Green. I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes it is out of the man the woman will get. Sometimes some women are already successful before they go into marriage, right? So this is why people do what we call the prenup and so on, right? But now, God says if they had no children, but if they have a child, then for you, the men, is 1/4. So if the woman dies and she has a child, the man is only going to get 1/4 of the property. Then he says, of what they bequeath, after a legal will has been prescribed or debt. Because remember, the lady also has family members. So if the man takes 1/4, then the child will get his own share. Then the rest will now go to the woman's family, meaning biological family. Maybe Kolibi, she has a sister, she has a brother, she has a father, she has a mother. So they will now get some of the apportionment. This is how it works. It doesn't mean the property will only stay with the husband. No. It doesn't mean the property will only stay with the child. No. Because the child is not going to take everything. Right? So then God says, after a legal will has been prescribed or debt, and for them is 1/4 of what you bequeath if you had no children. So similarly, you, the man, if you don't have any children with the wife and you die, the wife is also going to get 1/4. Right? Then it says, but if you have a child, then for them is 1/8. Because in the apportionment, a man is not getting equal to what one woman gets. There's a difference. Somebody will ask why? Because usually in Islam, man is the caretaker in the family. Women go for marriages while men go to marry into somebody's family, right? So they go to marry and bring somebody's child to themselves to marry, whilst the woman is the one going into somebody's family. So since she's going, the man has to be the caretaker, right? It doesn't necessitate that if the woman is financially stable, the man has to still take care of her. It doesn't go like that way now, right? But if you have a child, then for them is 1/8. That is for the woman, right? Of what you bequeath after a legal will has been prescribed or debt. If a man had no parents or children, this is the kalala, repeated in chapter 4, verse 12, as it is mentioned in Quran chapter 1. 4 verse 176. The kalala is repeated here. So he says, if a man had no parents or children inheriting or a wife, but has a brother or a sister, then for each one of them is 1/6. But if they are more than that, then they will be partners in 1/3. After a legal will has been prescribed or debt. Then it says without damage. A legal will from God. So this is God giving us a legal will and how it should be done. The mushriks will tell you, no, the Quran is not clear. It doesn't give us how to make the legal will. I'm going to break down. You are going to understand. For God is omniscient and wise. We continue to verse 13. Listen what God says. These, he says what? Tilka hududullahi. These are the limits that God has set. These are the limits of God. You don't go beyond this, or don't go less than this. This is the limit God has put. And whoever obeys God and his messenger will be admitted into gardens beneath which rivers flow eternally therein. That is a great achievement. Now, all these verses I just read, giving you the breakdown concerning Quran chapter 4, Surah An-Nisa, verse 11 to verse 12 to verse 13 to verse 176, concerning how the apportionment is done. I'm going to give you the summary of a breakdown to understand what is being done. These verses are part of these verses I just read. When you check the criteria, I want you to take a pen and paper and write it down on the separate side. When you rewatch this live session, what I want you to do is, first of all, you put number 1, write gender-based shares. Gender-based shares. A male child receives twice the share of a female child. Write it down. You just take a pen and paper, write it down. When you rewatch this program, for those on TikTok, if you get to rewatch it on Facebook and YouTube, right? Right, I want you to make a category. Write gender-based shares. A male child receives twice the share of a female child. I want you to write it like that. Then you go to the parents' shares. Make a category, parent shares. If the deceased has children, each parent gets 1/6. If no children, the mother gets 1/3. Then that is according to the summary of Quran chapter 4, verse 11 to verse 12, right? Now, spousal shares, the shares the spouses will get. A husband inherits half if his wife dies without a child. He is going to get 1/4 if she has children or a child. The husband is going to get 1/4. A wife inherits 1/4 if her husband dies without a child. And she will get 1/8 if he has children or a child. I want you to make this category. I started with gender-based shares. That is male and female. That is the apportionment. There is no transgender in between. Please. I don't want anybody to come and ask me, what if the person is transgender? Guys, forgive me. I'm just telling the truth according to what the Quran says. I don't want somebody to come and ask me, what if the person is God didn't mention transgender in the apportionment. So please let me deal with the verses of God. So nobody should come and say, Papa Shrine, you are being biased here. Please, I'm dealing with what God says. Just like Donald Trump says, he only recognizes a male and a female. In Donald Trump's policy, there is no transgender. He says a transgender goes to a public toilet if he has what organs, depending on what the body is determined, he can go to male or female. Donald Trump doesn't care. So either you are a male or a female. Anyways, so the categories I'm giving you, please write it down, because this is how it is going to help you to understand the breakdown God has given. Make a category. Take a pen and paper, draw a graph, and watch this video and check the categorizations in order to know how the apportionment is done. If you have a family, you have these legal will issues in your family, right? So God says, based on all the verses I read, there is something we call gender-based shares. So there's male and female only. There's no transgender there. Okay. Male and female, the male child will receive twice the share of a female. Parent shares, already mentioned. Spousal shares, meaning a man, the share he's going to get in a marriage, or the woman, the shares he's supposed to get in a marriage. So that's the breakdown. Then you go to sibling shares. It starts with the nuclear family first. That is the main focus. Deal with the nuclear family first before you go to the extended family. If the property is meant to be only like for instance, depending on how the vast, the greatness of the property, that is when it can even extend far away, right? But if the property is only limited to the nuclear family, no need to go far beyond. So here, spousal shares, sibling shares, if the deceased has no direct heirs, meaning parents or children, siblings may inherit 1/6 each or 1/3 collectively. So collectively, based on how many siblings the person has, then 1/3 will be given to them to share. Out of the 1/3, they will take 1/6 from it. Now, the question is, why the male gets double? Some people might ask, why does it mean that the male has to get double over the female? Now, men are obligated to financially support their families. So that is why God mentioned Ar-Rijal Qawwamuna 'ala Nisa, Quran chapter 4, verse 34. The men are made as guardians over the women. Then God spoke about the money because of what God has favored them, that is the financial means, right? Then he says, women's inheritance is theirs to keep, not required for household expenses. But this part is where the issue comes in, just like I was explaining. This understanding comes from the sectarian perspective. Then they will say, oh, whatever a woman has is for herself. No, God never said it anywhere where he says when a woman has something, she should keep it for herself. No. Are you getting my point? God never said it anywhere. That when a woman has anything, she should keep it for herself. And that is why God even gave the apportionment. When a woman dies, she leaves behind the property and it can be shared to the husband and the kids. Are you getting the point? The first advantage is the man has to be in charge of that. He has to be the one to disperse and spend on the family. But it gets to a point the woman has to play a role. But the major role is on the man. So please understand this part. Now, some people will take this apportionment and then they will say there's a contradiction. Just because of their perspective outside the Quran, they try to twist the context without understanding the context in which God is talking about. So first of all, the verses may seem contradictory if read without context. But they are actually conditional rules because it's based on condition God shares the apportionment. That's why he says if. So when you take somebody with a shallow mind, taking the Quran and calculating that the man will get this, the husband will get this, the sister will get this, that means the person has a low IQ, not understanding what a conditional statement is. It's a conditional rule. So meaning in a family, if the man has a child, if he does not have a child, based on this apportionment, you can just give everybody a share and you say, no, it goes against mathematics. It cannot be 100%. It means you have a low IQ. So understand what conditional rules are. The Quran apportionment you see in the Quran is based on condition. That is why God says, if, right? If the man is this, or if somebody dies, if, that is what a conditional rule applies. That's how it is. So now, shares change depending on who survives the deceased. That's how the shares changes. It doesn't remain the same. The apportionment doesn't remain the same. It changes. The percentage also changes based on who is alive and who is not. The presence of children, parents, spouses, or siblings affects how the estate is divided. Yes. So if you have a family where children are available, parents are available, some spouses are available, and siblings are available, it is going to affect the percentage again. So it doesn't mean always you go by the same percentage and say, oh, look, if this one gets this. No, please. That's why it's based on a condition. All distributions happen after debts and what? The bequests are settled. That is when the distribution will happen. After the person's debt has been settled, or the legal will, what is on the legal will, has been met, then that is when distributions can happen. Now, the wisdom behind the law God has given, right? What people need to understand is when you die, you don't know who is going to benefit from your apportionment. It's either your parents or your children. You don't know who is going to be, because you are dead. And maybe you might have been biased. So your legal will is going to be fixed by people who are going to bear witness to your legal will and make sure the right person gets what. So the wisdom behind it is God has actually given us the way we should share this legal will, so that you not be on the edge of being a biased person when you are dead. People will be blaming you and say, look, this guy died and he gave all his property to his wife, or he gave all his property to this, and then look at how, you understand? No. So God has given you the way it should be done. Now, what people need to understand concerning Quran chapter 4 verse 176, this is the breakdown. What you need to understand is, when God mentioned about the core inheritance rules in chapter 4 verse 176, it says if a man dies childless or parentless and has one sister, she gets half of his estate. So the sister will get half. So somebody will say, what about the other half? God is going to explain to you. If the sister dies childless and parentless, her brother in opposite will now inherit everything she has. That is, if she doesn't have parents and she doesn't have children. So she only has a brother. The brother is one going to inherit her because she's not married. If there are two sisters, they share 2/3 of the estates. If there are brothers and sisters, the male gets twice the share of the female. So if they are brothers and sisters, the male, let's say one brother and two sisters, the male is going to get the share of the two females. This is how the apportionment is supposed to be done. So everything is based on a conditional rule. So you and I might differ based on the family you belong to. I might come from a family of 4 people. You might be from a family of 2 people. You might be a family of just you and your sister. So the apportionment has to be done based on the condition. So that is why if is used. If. If you check mathematics, when a teacher is given a formula, you hear your teacher always saying, if you take this to put it here, if you minus 1 to this, if this one is carried to this. Because the idea of conditional rule is to tell you that it is not always fixed. It is bound to change based on the situation. So the apportionment which will be given when a man dies, leaving his wife and children, is not the same when a woman dies, leaving her husband and children. Pay close attention. The way God gave the apportionment. People who don't understand from the outside think, oh, this is contradictory. How can he do this by 100%? What? What? Do you understand conditional rule or a conditional statement? It is only based on that condition when something happens or if something happens. It doesn't mean it's fixed already like that. No. But the percentages that have to go will shift based on the circumstance and who is leaving the will. This is how it goes. It will make sense if you sit down, you rewatch this part, the program. I will trim the greetings part, leave it in the right part where you can listen to it clearly. You draw a draft yourself and put in the conditions yourself. You get to understand. If you have a family member or you have anybody who is struggling with this apportionment, please tell the person to watch this program, go step by step to understand the criteria God is giving. Then if you know anybody in the family where the man has died, leaving the children and the wife, you already have the part in the video. If it is vice versa, you have the part in the video. This is how you get to understand how the percentages need to be distributed. So pay close attention. It's just simple as it is. But because the sectarians have put in a narrative in our heads saying that you can't understand the Quran, you don't even know how to do the apportionment without the hadith, without this, This is why people are confused. Just as they tell you, you don't know how to do salat without the hadith. And that is a lie. Right? So pay close attention. Damage music group. Absolutely. If is always conditional. Like remind with the reminder if it benefits. Exactly, bro. Thank you. So conditional, you just need to understand the conditions in which the issue arises before the apportionment can be done according to. So it is not always fixed. Conditional means it can change. It is not binding to remain the same. Just as the sectarians or other people outside the Quran would think, oh, let's do 100 over 100. We are going to do the apportionment. This one will get one. It doesn't say this one. It says if. What is wrong with people with low IQ? I don't understand. It says if. So if in the family there is 2 people, man and a woman, yes, then you know the percentage which goes to the woman or the man. That's how it works. It doesn't mean it's fixed always. It can change. Ladies and gentlemen, so this is the apportionment, what we call the wasiya, legal will according to the Quran. Somebody will say, oh, Baba Shoaib, what you just spoke about is just simple. I didn't see you doing any, no. God says he's the one who has chosen you and has not placed any difficulty upon you in the religion. Quran chapter 22, verse 78. God says he's the one who has chosen you and has not placed any difficulty upon you in the religion. Why do you expect this to be difficult? No, I don't understand. Tell me, why do you expect this to be difficult? When God says he has made it easy. You just need to take your time and understand the condition you find. It's a conditional rule. Understand this, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, thank you very much, Liman Imrana. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm opening the phone lines. If you have any questions, you can call. This is the correctional officer's number on the page. The WhatsApp link, you can call. And I'm sending the guest invite link. I'm putting it in the comment section. You can also click and join as a guest, right? And you can come up. Let's interact. So for those on TikTok, I'll be coming there. I'll be coming for your question and answer session. After I'm done with this live stream here, I'll jump there, right? So thank you all for those who are coming now. We have Abu Bakr Muhammad Tijani. Sunnis invented their own inheritance law. Yes, everything they inherit their own. Sunnis inherited their salat. Sunnis inherited their own inheritance laws. Sunnis invented their own Hajj. Sunnis invented their own Shahada. Sunnis invented their own Siyam, the fasting. Sunnis invented their own whatever, Zakat, 2.5. Everything Sunnis have their own version. We are sticking to the book of God. We only follow what God says. We don't care any bozu says anything anywhere. Quran is the book of God. The prophet is not above God. The prophet himself follows the word, followed the words of God. So we don't care what any bozu somewhere will say that these guys are kafir because they don't follow our garbage books. Yeah, they are garbage anyway. So why should we follow it? So, ladies and gentlemen, that is correctional officer's number on the screen. You can call to ask your question, and invitation link to join as a guest is also there on the page. Let me see. I can put it up. Yeah, salam. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Okay, somebody just came and stepped down. I think, I don't know, something happened to the person's Okay, so that is a link if you want to join. Yes, you're welcome. Mana Aulad, thank you. I appreciate the support. God bless you. The real Mishizi Sniper, thank you. God bless you. Yes, Sister Iram says Allah created the male and the female. Yes. So somebody was saying something in the comment section, right? Irish Rose says, oh, I'm trying to find. Irish Rose says, very different times. No way we can give a son twice as much as our daughter. No way. Well, I think the laws of God are supposed to bring you simplicity. The idea of the laws of God is not supposed to bring chaos. What man-made laws do is to bring chaos, right? That is why the idea of feminism, feminist, is growing in the Western world. The idea is the devil has to let people challenge what God says. It doesn't mean the Quran suppresses women. Neither does it mean women are not important in the society. Nowhere does the Quran say women have to be inferior in anything. No. But if you take the case of a woman having to get pregnant, carry the child in a womb, pay attention to the child at home, it all makes sense why the man has to be in charge in certain aspects of life. I can tell you for a fact, women who have to carry pregnancy, instead of being in their the maternity leave, and they have to leave maternity leave and go back to work. Ask the women how exhausting that is for them, right? Women wish something better can be done for them, where they can have the time to take care of their kids, nurture their kids for 2 years and so on, feel all right before they go back to work. But the Western world is like trying to push women in a position whereby it's becoming like you put your family duties down and just go and serve the government, right? So the idea of thinking that, oh, we can put God's laws aside and just do with our things, that is the concept the devil is trying to put in people's head, right? So that is where the world is heading to. So whatever laws God gives us is to bring simplicity. So like now you are saying, it says, but today we can give equal share. No, we give according to the Western world, and that's not according to God. If you say we can give equal share, based on which context? Is it based on the laws of men or the laws of God? Right? If we say equal share, let me tell you in which way is equal. I give an example. For instance, I have 2 kids, right? My daughter and my son. In some cases, I don't give them things equally. I give them things they ask for, but I don't give them equally. Even in the workplace, you don't expect to get an equal salary with your boss or with your supervisor or with somebody who is your senior at work. It doesn't work that way, right? The notion of saying equals, it depends on context or the perspective in which things can be done equally, but not in every aspect of life. In some instances, I prefer even women to get certain advantages over men. In some instances, right? For instance, in the Western world here, in Finland, for instance, let me give you Finland as an example. Back in the days, back in time, I think a few years ago, when a woman goes for maternity leave, she gets an extensive time where she will get almost like is it 1.5 year or so? Then the father will get the rest of this, the half of the year to balance the 2 years. And then she'll be getting money from the government. But now it has changed. I think they said the mother has to be at home for only like 7 months. and then the man has to also be at home for 7 months, trying to let men become sissies, right? Naturally, God has designed the woman to bear a child in the belly. God didn't design the man to have a child in the belly. Naturally, God designed men to be at the war front. Naturally, God did not design women to be at the war front. But what is the Western world trying to do today? Push women into, the act and saying men and women are equal. It depends in which aspect. In certain aspects, we can be equal. Even in the Quran, in terms of getting blessings, God says we are equal. The rewards God is going to give. If a man do a righteous deed, the blessings he's going to get, the 10 blessings, a woman gets the equal share of the 10 blessings. But in certain aspects, you don't say equality. It doesn't work in certain aspects of life. If that is the equality we are going to work, men also have to bear children. If a woman bear a child 1 year, then we have to make a protest where a man is also going to carry the child in the belly for 1 year. Imagine the man in labor, crying, shouting. Men cannot handle that, to be honest. That I can tell you is a losing game for men. There's no way men can handle that labor. Anyways, guys, let me go back to the questions which were asked in the beginning, right? Here. Brother Michael says, Salam Shaib, hope you're feeling great and full energy to keep moving forward. Don't forget the monkey video. It's not actually monkey, it's donkey. I played a video. That's a donkey video. Shaib, it is true that the Quran written by the Prophet didn't include any harakat, diacritical marks. If so, that's astonishing. They say the second version of the Quran was written by the Caliphs. These are all based on opinions and assumptions. Ask them who invented the harakat. You ask them, the same people who are making these claims. Ask them, the harakats, who invented them? Were they part of the Arabic language from day one, or did they only exist later on? They don't even have the authentic history concerning that. Right? So these are based on false allegations. Then he says, who added the harakat to avoid confusion? And the third one finally settled the matter. But if that's the case, how is it possible that even with such additions, the Quran still contains no contradictions? Quran chapter 6 verse 115, God says, وَتَمَّتْ كَلِمَةُ رَبِّكَ صِدْقًا وَعَدْلًا لَا مُبَدِّلَ لِكَلِمَاتِهِ. He says the word of your Lord is complete in truth and justice, and there is no alteration to his words. Right? So what was revealed to the Prophet was complete in truth and justice. There is no alteration to the words of God. Yeah, don't kneel. Contradictions, please. You can come and prove the contradiction, and let's see if it is your understanding which is the problem. We are going to find out. So please don't kneel. I will open the session, then you come and show me the contradiction. He says contradictions or errors. That will be truly remarkable if it is true. Okay, let's continue. The truth seeker says, Salam Baba, I hope you're doing well. Can you explain to me what is the meaning about the story about Adam and Eve, that stripping them of their clothing to show them their private parts? What is the meaning? It meaning is idea of being deluded, not having the attention to something, right? But then that attention has been drawn to see the private parts. I'm trying to understand your question. What is the meaning behind? I don't understand your question. Kodo Mapata says, Salam, brother. What is the wisdom behind chapter 75, verse 17? God spoke about. Start from verse 16. He says, "La tuharrik bihi lisanaka litajala bihi." Then he says, "Inna alayna jama'ahu wa Qur'anahu." So it means the gathering of the Quran and how it should be read is based on God. So God and his angels are the ones in charge of that. So how the Quran is going to be compiled is based on God and his angels, and how the Quran is supposed to be read is based on God and his angels. So it's not nobody's duty to say, oh, the Sahabas are the ones to compile the Quran, the Sahabas are the one to show how the Quran has to be read. That is a lie. That is a lie. Total lie. Adnan says, can you give me your opinion on this? Chapter 7, verse 1. Yes, I've already answered this. I have it in the video I mentioned to you. Semma Elam says, Baba, what is your explanation that Arabs were leading in science, algebra, numerical numbers, algorithm, and says before Hadith appear in the 800, after the Arabs fell behind and zero. Coming from the Stone Age upwards, this is just a narrative being propagated concerning how science and, you know, mathematics took over the world through the hands of the Arabs. Yes, these are stories which are there that can be actually investigated. Is there. During that time, the Arabs dominated the world. Yes, it is there. It can be proven. Yeah, Salam Shurulini. I didn't pay attention to your message. I just saw it. He says, where is the cap? Oh, actually, you just reminded me. I was supposed to wear my cap. I forgot. Abu Suleiman says, I believe will is permitted to parents and close relatives only, exclusively. Not necessarily. Exclusively, not that. Right? Lina Artiega says, so are women supposed to use hijab? Because I keep getting mixed answers that were said in the Quran. No. The word hijab has never been used in the Quran in line for a woman to cover her head. It doesn't exist. The word hijab has been used several times in the Quran, and nowhere was it used in the context of a woman covering her head. So the idea of women using hijab in its sense is not a Quranic concept. So the idea of a woman wearing a long tobe or robe is recommended by God, meaning a long gown. You see, by nature, a woman who likes to wear a long gown compared to a woman who wears tight clothing, there's a big difference. The one who likes to wear tight clothing seems to be getting attention from men, but it's all about sexual desires. Whilst a woman who is wearing a tobe or a robe seems to be getting certain respect. She will not be, you know, the way men will try to molest and so on. She will not be getting those type of attentions regularly compared to a woman who actually shows the contours of her body. So the idea of wearing a long gown is recommended by God, but Quran chapter 33 verse 59, that was used in line concerning the prophet and his wives and his daughters and the wives of the believers. Right? So yeah. So the concept of hijab is not Quranic. God never used the word hijab and say women should wear hijab. It doesn't exist. This is just the sectarians trying to invent such rules. Yeah. Moses, I have a question, Baba. How was Eve created? If you check Quran chapter 4 verse 1, let me put it on the screen. Chapter 4 verse 1. This verse in Quran chapter 4 verse 1, it says, Ya ayyuhan nas. Then it says, Taku rabbakum allazi khalaqakum min nafsin wahida wa khalaqa minha zawjaha. Then it says what? Wabatha minhuma rijalan kathira wa nisa. So he says, "Oh, you mankind, reference your Lord, the one who created you from one soul and created its mate from it, and transmitted from both of them many men and women." Right? So according to the Quran, God created you from one soul, which we all know that one soul is what? Adam. Then from Adam, he created its mate. So from this soul of Adam, he created another soul, which is the mate. That's how he created. But for the Christians saying that Adam's rib was used to, is a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie, you guys. It's a lie, you. It's a lie. It's a lie. They said the woman was created from the rib of, it's a lie. I'm telling you, it's a lie. So God created from the soul, right? He created another version of the soul from the first soul. That's how it was created, right? But there's no mention that Eve was created from his spine, or no, it's a lie. Shrib, how about Adam is not the first human? That is a debatable claim, right? Because when you go to Quran chapter 15, verse 26, in Quran chapter 15, verse 26, this is what it mentions. It says, "And we certainly created the human being from agile of an aged mud." But when you jump to Quran chapter 15, verse 28, then God says, "And when your Lord said to the angels, indeed, I will create a human from agile of aged mud." Now, when you compare these two verses mentioned from above and beneath, the difference you are going to see in these verses, the 15:26 mention what? Al-insan. Then 15:28 mentions bashar. This bashar, when you trace the etymology of the word in Arabic, that is hominidae, right? This hominidae. Then we have the Homo sapien, which is the insan. When you trace the etymology of the word, you have Homo sapien, right? So when we see in the context, we can see that the bashar is the one attributed to Adam. This bashar in chapter 15, verse 28, that was Adam. When God created him, the angels were asked to show their submission to him, right? But in the context of the insan, the Homo sapien, if you are going to look at it in this light, yes, then we don't sit down and say Adam is the first Homo sapien. We can say Adam is the first, bashar. But to say he's the first insan, so there's a deep study on this. And I was telling people that I will do a thorough research on this before I do a topic on this, right? So the idea of saying Adam is the first human being, depending on how you use the word, insan and bashar, yes, it's a broader concept, right? So that, I know with time we are going to get answers for that, inshallah. What am I missing here? Rehan Akib says, I wanted to understand the timings of the Salah. I believe you follow Fajr, sunset, night. My question is in 62, 9 to 10, the way God describes the Friday. There is nothing like Friday prayer, please. There's nothing called Salat al-Jum'ah. It's not in the Quran. So I don't know where people are getting the notion saying Friday prayer from. There's no such thing as Friday prayer in the Quran. Please stop that. And he says, I believe you follow Fajr, sunset, and night. Yes. My Fajr Salat, and then the sunset, which according to the Quran is the Isha. That is when it's evening. Then we have the night. So these three Salats is what I do, right? The notion of Friday prayer, no, not from the Quran. So try to watch my video on concerning the Jum'ah. I have a video on that. Go to my playlist. It's called General Issues. Go to my YouTube, find the playlist. It's called General Issues. Jamiu says, objection. Objection, can you call? The number is on the screen. You can call and ask. Yes, thank you, Mo. Yes. You are still talking about the rib, the cooked rib. Hey, Sister Ram says spare rib. Hey. I think it would have made more sense if the Christians said Adam's six-pack. So let's say Adam had six-pack. Assuming if it was the six-pack he used, it will make more sense. Okay. Brother Shaib, the mushriks in Kenya claim the children out of wedlock are forbidden from getting inheritance. That's a lie. That is a lie. Anybody who tells you children out of wedlock are not supposed to get apportionment, please tell them to bring one hadith where it's, you first of all, tell them from their hadith, they should bring it where it says a child not from born under marriage is not supposed to get apportionment. Let them bring from the hadith first. They cannot bring it. Now, when you go throughout the Quran, there is nowhere in the Quran God says a child born out of wedlock is not supposed to get apportionment. It doesn't say that. You ask the mushriks this question. Ask them, number one, the mother of Isa, was she married? They will tell you no. Maryam was not married, right? Isa was born by Maryam out of wedlock. And Isa was made a prophet and he inherited the book from God. So he got an inheritance from God, which is the book of God. His mother was not married, according to the Quran. She wasn't married to anybody, right? So if they are telling you a child born out of wedlock is not supposed to inherit anything, first of all, tell them hatu bur'anakum. Bring the evidence from God, let's see. It doesn't say anywhere in the book of God. It is not the child who asked you to give birth to him or her. You brought the child, so it's your responsibility. If that is the case, then no need to take care of the child if it is out of wedlock. That means if I go and have a child out of wedlock, I don't even need to take responsibility of taking care of the child because out of wedlock, right? That is nonsense. That is arrant nonsense. If the father has sinned, that is a sin between the father and God. But the child has no sin in this. The child has the right to get the property from his father. Yes, according to the legal will God gave in the Quran, you will not see any disclaimer where God is saying a child born out of wedlock is not going to get. Nowhere did God say that nonsense. Somebody says, TB says, Assalamu alaikum. So which day Allah say we should rest? No, God didn't say anything. You can rest any day you want. To rest for what? As a matter of fact, you are supposed to pray every day. What rest do you need? To do what? To rest from loving your wife? To rest from taking care of your kids? To rest from worshiping God? What? Hello? Your work, is your workplace not giving you holidays already? Ladies and gentlemen, somebody is asking me which day did God say we should rest. Now, if God didn't say your work is not giving you off days to rest, Sabbath is made for the children of Israel. Go and read Quran chapter 16 verse 124 and Quran chapter 4. It was assigned to the children of Israel at that time concerning the Sabbath, that they should rest from going to the sea to catch fish. That was the resting he gave. So what rest again? The Christian rest on Sunday. God never gave them Sunday. Look, open the Bible. Know where God asked the Christians to rest on Sunday. The Sabbath, according to the Bible, even the Old Testament, is on Saturday. It is not on Sunday. Right? So that is a wrong calculation by the first place. Yes, salam to you, Sin Riley. Jamil says, objection concerning hijab. You can call. My phone number is on the screen. And I'm sending, this is an invitation there, the link. Where is it? Where did the invitation go? I put the invitation. This is the link to StreamYard. That is the link. Objection by Jamiu Otilite or Uwalabi. Please join as a guest or you call the number. I'm leaving soon. I'm going to TikTok. If you have objection concerning the hijab, kindly call. I prefer people to call. Let's interact. I hate the fact of the comment section, and so it's a waste of time for me. Please. Kid Costume says some people can't poop without directions from the book. Yeah, I agree. Oh my God. Some people cannot poop without directions from a book. I agree. I literally have somebody in a live session asking me that I should show him from the Quran where Quran shows how to sleep with my wife. He said, show me from the Quran where Quran show you how to sleep with your wife. So according to him, the hadith shows them how to sleep with their wives. Ladies and gentlemen, how can you have these bozos around you and you think they are human beings? Eh? Oh my God. So the prophet's parents, how did they give back to him? Seriously. Eh? How did the prophet's parents, father and mother, what did they do on the bed? Were they just looking at each other and then the child just came out? See, I'm serious, to be honest. The mushriks, I don't know how their brain functions. It was created in a different planet, to be honest. Yeah. Say that. Let me see. Yeah. Batuta says Mushrik will tell you we know how to go to toilet. Don't face Qibla. Yes. They said, according to their hadith, if you are peeing, don't face Qibla. If you are pooping, don't face Qibla. Like, what kind of rules are these, to be honest? Who gave birth to these people? I like to walk at night for exercise. The Sunnis say I could get possessed by a jinn. Hey, these people say don't clip your fingers at night. These same people say that the devil is peeing, is staying in your nose. He pees in your nose and ears. Hey, this pee. I don't know how. What color is the pee? Yeah. Sin Riley says, I'm historically. I forgot how crazy these questions. Yes, they can get more crazier than this. Asa B for G says, Baba, is it considered wrong to get readings like tarot card mediums? Tarot card mediums, I assume those cards can be placed under divination arrows. Divination arrows are something God is telling believers to avoid. So divination arrows, I think the tarot cards, you're using it for divination arrows, right? To get some, these are things God says believers should avoid. That's what he says. He says, avoid such. Oh my God. Somebody saying, Sadiq says on TikTok, he says, there is a Mushrik mosque who spent $50,000 to rearrange the bathroom facing the Qibla. Hey, Oh my God. The mushriks will never cease to amaze me. Let me see. Yes, one of the rules is the mushriks will tell you if you are in the bathroom, you do not need to talk. Imagine if you have kids and you are in the shower and your kids are disturbing in the living room. According to the mushriks, they said you don't need to talk. So it means you have to stay there till your kids mess up everything in the living room. You don't need to talk. Yeah. But the same people say when you are entering the bathroom, you should say a dua. Now, the dua I'm saying, if I'm entering the bathroom, am I saying it outside or inside? How? Sariki Martin says, please, can a Muslim man put earrings? As a matter of fact, the concept of earrings, Quran never mentioned earrings is for men or for women. Some people have it as a culture thing. Some people have it. I've seen women in the Western world who never wore an earring, right? And the concept of earring is fashion. It is not a religious thing, right? So, well, you the man, that's up to you. Jamil says, I'm not here to oppose you, but for correction, and I will like to make a discussion privately to just keep up. I don't get you. The idea of you calling is for people to benefit from your call so that I can address that part. If I sat in the public to say something and you feel like, oh, objection, then object in public. Then I can explain myself. But if you say in private, so if I'm misleading the people, does that mean I should just lie to them and get up and go, right? That's the point. So please, if you have a question, you can just call. The number is there. Just call and ask your question. Or you tell your objection, right? As a matter of fact, God never orders any woman to cover her face. God never ordered any woman to wear the burqa or nothing, the niqab, nowhere. God never orders any woman to cover the hair. If any sectarian is telling you you have to cover the hair, ask them this question. Adam, the wife of Adam, was her hair covered? Please, according to God in the Quran, the devil is there with them. Iblis was there with them, right, in the garden. Iblis could see them. He even confused them to the extent that he showed them their naked bodies. And this same Iblis didn't enter into the body of the wife. This same Iblis didn't enter into the hair of the wife of Adam. These sectarians are telling you, you cover your hair so that the devil will not do what? No, the ladies, when you go to the shower, are you not alone there? Oh, so you telling me the devil cannot come there also? No, is there any padlock that prevents the devil from coming to the shower to watch you? So what nonsense are these people saying? The concept of covering hair is not Quranic. The verses are being twisted. Yes, there is even one funny video when somebody says, he says when you are pooping, the devil, something about the devil pushing the poop up backwards into, oh my God. What is wrong with these mushriks? Sister Khadija says, according to Islamic teachings, writing a legal will is encouraged to ensure inheritance justly. However, for a Muslim who has non-Muslim family members, what steps can be taken? I actually addressed this part in the video. God used the two instances in Quran chapter 5, verse 106 to 108. It talks about believers should witness for you. In case you are in a place where believers are not there, you can use two travelers on the way. Other than the believers, you can use two people who are not also believers. But if you doubt them, they have to swear. But the point here is, believers can be located. Now we are in a world. We are in a world which is a small world. You can access believers from other places online who can actually represent you. There could be believers even in the United States who can represent you, right? So we are in a case scenario where you can get believers from every angle that you interact with, and they can represent you in certain matters and cases, right? Yeah, the mushriks, they suppress women. They want women to become like their concubines, just slaves and concubines, that's all. Do we need to wash the dead before burial according to the Quran? No. The reason is when you read Quran chapter 5, verse 27 to verse 31, the brother who killed his brother, he never bathed him. He never washed his body before burying him. The crow came down to dig the ground to show him how to bury his brother. He buried his brother without taking him to shower, without putting in white clothes for him, Salam bin Ali, without doing any janaza. He buried him. According to God, that person is a good person who was killed. In Quran chapter 5, verse 27 to verse 31. So there is no injunction in the Quran where it says when somebody is dead, you are going to bury the person, you have to wash them. Imagine, cry for the moon. Listen carefully. If you are going to throw trash, a bio waste, if you are going to throw bio waste, do you need to wash them before you throw them? Please, ladies and gentlemen, help me out. When something is gone, do you need to wash it in order to go and throw it? Yeah, salam. Sayyidunu, bro, I see you. Salam to you, bro. So cry for the moon. That concept, not from the Quran. You understand? You're welcome. Bunyami says, what the hell? Oh, what the hell? Oh, come and open the Quran and show me where it says somebody dies, I have to wash them before I go and bury them. What is the nonsense? That's nonsense. The person is going to rot. You are washing them for what? You tell me. Okay, what if the person died in the aeroplane burned them into ashes? You still going to take the dead body and wash it? What madness is this? The person died by shark eating the body into pieces. You are still going to find the body and wash it. Because washing is important, right? Snake swallowed the person. You still have to go and remove the body and wash it and bury it. The person has been cremated. You still have to go and find the cremation and wash it in order to bury it. So what is the sense in washing a dead body you are going to bury? Yes, it's not part of the deen. The people who are washing the dead body is so that they use for display in front of the people and so on. That's why they wash them. But it is not a Quranic injunction. Bunyame, are you okay? Komi Dede, I hope you are okay in your head and your family. Everyone is okay with you, right? Check your English. Your English is not even up to date. It needs to be updated. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've done 2 hours, 30 minutes. I'm going to TikTok, please. If there's no more question, I just need to go. Yes, Mama Di Jarju says, wash and make it dirty again. Imagine you are going to throw bio waste. Then you wash it. You wash the bio waste. You put it to the trash again. No, seriously. Common sense is not part of the sectarian religion. I'm not joking with you. That's why I tell you they are bozos and their brains are kaput. When they hear Baba Shaib say like this, it's like they want to crash their phone screen. Cyrus Black says, can you visit loved ones at graveyards and do a little prayer? Can you visit loved ones at graveyards and do a little prayer? Visiting is not restricted. Nowhere God says somebody dies, you can't visit the graveyard. It doesn't say that. However, your prayer, if the person is a believer already and died as a believer, what is your prayer going to do for them? Because if, according to God, do not die except whilst you are Muslims. Quran chapter 3, verse 102. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu ittaqullah haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. So God says, all you who believe, you have to fear God with the way it deserves to be feared or referenced. And he says, do not die except whilst you are submitted. So meaning when somebody dies as a submitter, he's safe. He's going to paradise. He's safe. So if that is the case, and I'm safe, do I need somebody to pray for me again before God makes me safe? The answer is no. I'm already safe. So if you're going to visit a dead person, right, the most befitting thing you can say, which usually is being used, is rest in peace. Or you can say peace be upon the person. That's all. And this is not even a prayer. It's a sign of respect. Peace be upon him or peace be upon the person. That is it. But to go to the extent to say, God, give them paradise. God, give them this. No. It is by their achievements they are going to earn paradise. Quran chapter 39, verse 60 to 61. It is based on what they have achieved. That is what is going to save them. Yeah, Salam Haj Londo. I see you, bro. Salam. We have Stakadija says, Baba, given the secular legal system in my country, they do not enforce Islamic inheritance law despite having Muslim witnesses for a will. How can one ensure the practical implementation? The practical implementation is you do your legal will through your lawyer. You find a lawyer, you do the legal will through a lawyer, but whilst doing it through the lawyer, you have to have witnesses, two believers who can witness what the lawyer is doing for you, right? So you can assign the authority to the believers to actually alter the will in case there is bias in the will. So this is why God says you should take two witnesses. So these two witnesses are there to serve the need that in case there is any bias, they can actually fix that. No, I don't. I'm going to TikTok. Bunyamin, if he's there, I'll pick him up on TikTok. Right? Yes, that is a good thing to do. Asa B4G says, I got a private trust for my daughters. Yes, that is a good thing to do. Having a trust is very, very good, right? Open up a trust, put your properties in there for your kids. It's a very nice move, right? This is something I've been discussing with some brothers, I think lately. Open up a trust, put your properties there, your assets there, and yes, so that when you die, your kids will not have any liability. The trust is there to sort them out, right? Guys, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I need to bring the topic to an end now. I'm going to TikTok. If you're willing to join me, you have a TikTok account, kindly join me. I know the mushriks will be joining also. As soon as I go on, the mushriks, you know them. They will be coming on like fire. By the way, thank you for the 11,000 subs on YouTube. Thank you. I appreciate that. On YouTube now, we have 11,000 subscribers. Thank you for that milestone. I appreciate that. It was just recently. I think last month I just celebrated. Was it last month? I celebrated the 10,000 subscribers, and Alhamdulillah, now we have 11,000. So yes, it means the channel is growing. We are in the right course, calling the people to the right way to God, right? So yeah, I appreciate the support. God bless you all. Yes. On TikTok, we are on the course to 84,000, which is good. Alhamdulillah. On Facebook, we have 17,000 subs. I say in total, I have like almost 20,000 subs on Facebook because I have two Facebook accounts, the correctional officer page and then the barbershop. So almost on the course to 20,000. I appreciate the support. It means people are appreciating what I'm presenting out there, and do the needful act for yourself. Research the evidences being presented, scrutinize the claims, and take the gem out of it. Quran chapter 17 verse 36 says, do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge, right? So it means having knowledge is binding. You need to actually be aware of what you practice and what you follow. Because on the day of judgment, Quran chapter 33 verse 67, you don't find yourself among the people who be lamenting, telling God that we obeyed our masters and our leaders and they misled us from the way. So the burden of verification is upon you. The claims being presented out there, yours is just to filter the claims and take what is good in there. I don't expect everybody to agree with me 100%, right? But however, the things you can resonate with, you feel like this is the truth, this is what you take and use, right? So that's how it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to bring the topic to an end on Facebook and YouTube. I'm going to TikTok. If you have a TikTok account, kindly join me there because it's going to get fun. I know the mushriks will be joining and it's going to be fun. So stay tuned and join me there. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. We have Sharif Karim. Thank you for the support. Yes, Asabi for G's. Thank you, Sister Iram, Sister JS, Distorted Empath, Jamu Otilite, this guy is a Christian. He happens to be a a human worshiper. He worships Jesus, right? With this kind of people, they just don't understand that I tell people that hadith books are garbages. So he is saying that I'm against the hadith in order to promote my own hadith. So this Christian, I don't know why this Christian is bleeding because I said we don't need garbage hadith. So he says, Baba Shoaib hadith, the best. Let's listen to this wise. Oh my God. This human worshiper. You will not leave me alone. This is how you keep making noise because you have nothing good to offer. So, ladies and gentlemen, Bilal Jibril, thank you very much. Kaji says your TikTok name. I use that same name on Facebook and YouTube. Baba Shoaib. That's the name on the. Is it here? Here, up there. I use the same name, Baba Shoaib, or the correctional officer. You can find me on TikTok with the same name, same this thing, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I appreciate your presence, your support. God bless you all. I need to save this energy for TikTok. So kindly join me there if you have anything to. So you see, look at the question this Christian is asking me. He says, I don't believe Jesus is God. Am I still a Christian, Baba? Well, that's up to you. Bye-bye. Thank you very much, Alaji London. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. God bless you all. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate you. Thank you. So kindly join me on TikTok. Let's continue with the live stream. I appreciate you all. God bless you all. Till we meet again next week. Inshallah. Peace. Always give them a reason to remember your name. The correctional officer.